Let's get reaction to the bombshell headline on the front page of the Mail on Sunday tomorrow. Prince Harry asks former aides to help plot his return from exile. That's according to the Mail on Sunday, as I said. He sought advice from trusted former aides in Britain on how to mastermind a return from exile in the US. And sources said the Duke of Sussex is consulting people from his old life as a working royal. That's after he allegedly has grown dissatisfied with advice from American-based image experts. The move marks the first stage in a strategy to, quote, rehabilitate Harry that would involve him spending more time in the UK to repair his relationship with his father and potentially initiate a partial return to the royal fold. I now welcome royal expert Kinsey Schofield live from the US. Kinsey, mega story. What's your initial reaction to this?
Yeah, what a great scoop. My initial reaction is pretty cynical because over the last few weeks, Harry and Meghan have been leaking like a faucet over here in the United States. Talking to People magazine, they're allowing current Archewell employees to shoot down rumors. There's a cover of Us Weekly this week that's Meghan Markle only, and it's a friend of hers talking about how glowing her life is in California. And this is coming from two people that argue that the palace were leaking stories. And that's how the palace would manipulate and control the media. And now we're seeing Harry and Meghan do it over here on a weekly basis. I think victimhood has been very lucrative for Prince Harry. And reading that headline, instinctually, you feel sympathy for him. And is he positioning the royal family as the bad guys again? Is this another ploy when it comes to Harry and Meghan? I question it. Is it a great story? Absolutely. Do I wonder if Harry knew this information would be leaked? Yes! Exclamation point.
It feels like, in terms of being a journalist and the news cycle, it does feel on a par. Maybe not quite on a par, but definitely up there with the Megxit. I was about to say Brexit then. The Megxit revelations a couple of years ago. So if they are indeed plotting a return, and Harry does have some sort of return to the royal fold, why do you think he's doing that? Is he skint?
He's doing it because Americans did not welcome them in the way that they initially thought they would. I think that they've made a lot of missteps over the last few years, and they're not having the life that they thought they were going to. They were fired by Spotify. Look at American Riviera Orchard. It's at a standstill. Rumors that Netflix is not going to renew their contract in 2025. I don't think that the American dream has come to fruition for them the way that they thought it would. And Prince Harry realizes that he was a valuable asset as a member of the royal family, and that really gave him purpose.
I guess when you've rinsed your dirty laundry in public and, blown apart the family secrets, there's nothing else to kind of say, is there? I mean, what else are you going to talk about? No one cares about their humanitarian work or whatever they're meant to be doing. So you reckon perhaps it's just a financial ploy? They need more money, to be quite frank.
I mean, I think they did everything backwards. Had they shown all of us that they were these charitable people that were just here to make the world a better place before they went after the British royal family, there might be some hesitation when it comes to judging them or criticizing them. But it's hard to swallow that they're now these martyrs when they spent 3 years terrorizing the royal family with really cruel commentary, talking about Prince William's hair loss in Spare, the fact that he no longer resembles their mother. That's just unnecessary and cruel.
Yeah, and of course today is the 27th anniversary of Princess Diana's death. We'll touch on that later in the show. But should we move on from the start, of course, with the big story of the night in the Mail on Sunday tomorrow. Prince Harry asks aides to help plot his return from exile. He's speaking to former aides who helped him when he was part of the royal fold, and he is now planning to come back to the UK. Apparently, Benedict Spence.
Yes.
I'll call you Smith then. Benedict Spence.
Somebody else. Well, I mean, bon chance is the first thing we have to say. God loves a trier, and he's really given himself a disadvantage, I suppose, to make the comeback story even seem even more epic when he pulls it off. Then he can sell the rights to the Hollywood movie, and it'll be barely believable. I mean, the sad thing about Prince Harry is he had it all, actually. He had the public approval. He was the more popular of the two brothers. He'd sort of set himself up with his Hollywood wife, and they were going to go to Canada, and they were going to, live out quite quiet lives, and their focus were going to be the conservation in Africa and veterans. Quite how he managed to fumble that bag, I will never know, but he did. So if he is going to pull it all back, it will be very impressive. I don't know who these incredible aides are, but if he thinks just sort of fostering a bit of a rapprochement with his father and his brother will be enough, I'm not sure. After the contents of the book and everything else, I'm just... Is this actually what he wants? Is it really going through the punishment beating in the press
Alex,
to get back in?
Maybe this is what broken Britain needs. How do we get out of it? Maybe it's the reconciliation of the royal family. Prince Harry back in the fold, everyone's happy, and we're back to the old days.
Well, we never ever believed the Gallagher brothers would get back together, did we? And they've done it after, I don't know how many years, since 2009, didn't the band split up then?
Well, they need the money. I think Noel's going through a £20 million divorce, and it's suggested, I guess, that Harry needs the money as well. So.
Well, I think if you think of the struggles that Edward and Mrs Simpson had, all those, I know it was decades ago, but it's a similar royal story, and you think of the damage, so much more damage has been done by Harry and Meghan now. I mean, some pretty unforgivable things have been said. I think he's blown it. I think we were expecting this, but maybe not yet, maybe in 5 to 10 years' time. And I don't know about, obviously, the anniversary of his mother's death. This story's landed just at the right time. And I think that looks a bit calculated. I mean, who knows? It would be lovely if he was back in Britain and welcomed back into the royal fold. But I don't know how easy that's going to be for him.
So you don't care, you can care less, could you? You couldn't give a fig.
I would be more interested and care more if you came over with an army and sort of we had a civil war between the princes, some sort of like War of the Roses.
You want an old school?
Yeah, I want sort of spite.
That will work on Netflix, which is more than can be said for his TVs.
I mean, I'd be more interested if he came over with an army, sort of marched on Buckingham Palace.
What about what do they call it, with the horses and the javelin?
Yeah, I think, we should have that, bring that back.
Jousting, sorry.
I mean, I would be more interested then if we could see two princes trying to do each other harm.
Oh, I suggested off-air, what about a sort of a boxing match, pay-per-view fight between William and Harry?
MMA?
In Riyadh in Saudi Arabia.
Exactly, right.
It's going to make loads of money for the royal family. You can fix Buckingham Palace. It's going to be great. Interesting. We'll see what happens with that. I get the feeling from the way the story's been written, Charlotte Griffiths from the Mail on Sunday, it says that they won't be back in the royal fold full-time, but it will be a move to rehabilitate his image and maybe, touchy-touchy, just a bit, every little step at a time, maybe for a few years. The first steps turn into a more permanent move. I'll just say, I mentioned Lucy Letby on the Sunday Mirror then. We didn't have the picture of the front page, but I'll stand corrected. She murdered 7 babies and was accused of trying to kill 7 others who did survive. So she didn't kill 14, she killed 7. There we go. It's going to be a really interesting story, Lisa, this. So what do you reckon of Lucy Letby?
I mean, I don't know why, but I think that British justice system should do its job. And I don't know why I think that over this, because I don't usually think that about many things. But I think the amounts of conspiracy theories and the amounts of sort of Twitter detectives, I don't think it's helping anybody. And you've got to think that there's families here who have lost babies. And I think all this sort of, these armchair detectives and Miss Marples on Twitter, I don't think they're doing any good. And I don't think that Netflix actually doing this is going to do it any good either.
Oh, they won't care, Netflix.
No,
it'll be a massive hit, won't it, Benedict?
It's too soon, though, isn't it? I think this is the mistake that a lot of these TV production companies are making. Some of this stuff should be left, and it's all happening too soon, and you're just putting the victims' families through it again and again and again.
I mean, ultimately you're profiting off the deaths of babies.
Yeah,
that's
it's
all
not
it boils
right.
down to. I mean, there are arguments for other shows that they've done about other serial killers, some of which can be quite good. Mindhunter was quite good, but as you say, that was sort of set decades and decades ago when, there's been a passage of time. Many of the people involved in themselves have ended up dying. But this is, what was it, a year ago?
It's a year ago, yeah.
And this is, as you say, 7 babies that she did murder. She was convicted of murdering, and 7 more who she was accused of attempting to murder. And that's 14 families for whom actually there is absolutely no need, no justification for profiting off their misery. Children who didn't have a chance.
I mean, it's not investigative journalism, is it, Netflix? No. It's not going to be an investigative documentary that's looking at all the angles. It's going to be, what I've seen of documentaries on Netflix is usually quite prurient.
Well, it says here in the second paragraph of this Mail Sunday Mirror story, this will mean fresh agony for the families of the 14 babies she murdered or tried to kill. So you're quite right. Netflix do some good documentaries. What about Don't F with Cats? Do you remember that?
No.
Have you seen that, anyone?
No.
Just me? OK, well, there's my recommendation.
Yeah, I prefer...
The Michael Jordan documentary was good, but he didn't kill any babies. So
I think there are criminals who are interesting and have a fascinating story, but there's nothing about this that I think an audience will want to sit down and be put through.
Well, you do know, I mean...
Jeffrey Dahmer as well?
I teach in a university, and we get lots of students who want to do criminology, and they want to do criminology because they watch true crime stuff.
Yeah.
And there is sort of like... it's fashionable, and I don't think it does anybody any good, actually, because when they come to the university and we're doing criminology and we're talking about sort of research and theories, they kind of lose interest.
OK, one more story on this, in the Sunday Telegraph, rather. Stop testing children on times tables, unions tell ministers. Oh, goodness me. Times tables tests should be scrapped and grammar exams stripped back, teaching unions are urging the government. Ministers are being called to cut down the number of tests in primary schools, which unions claim lead to lead to high levels of anxiety, basically. The Sunday Telegraph. This is absurd, Benedict, isn't it?
It is, and, you know, it's one of those things where you hear it and you just have to roll your eyes and you say, well, is this actually because it causes children anxiety, or is it because it sounds like hard work for teachers? Actually, I think everything points to the fact that as much as it might be very dull, very repetitive, and it doesn't work for every single child, learning by rote and practicing and drilling these things from an early age, I'm afraid, does give children the bedrock, the foundation that they need. And actually, Rishi Sunak said it himself, this country doesn't do particularly well in maths. We need to actually be improving these things. I don't think that this is the time to be rowing back on education because it might make children a little bit under
Alex,
pressure.
7 times 7.
7 times 7 is... I'm good on my 7 times...
Get out, you're fired.
But can I just say, seriously, that when kids go to primary school, there should be more fun at primary school. It should be gentle. It should be about discovering. You're a parent of young children. Do you want them constantly tested and coming home with homework when they're at primary school?
Yeah, my sweetheart boy Jude starts school in about 2 weeks, primary school.
Yeah, well, you wait till he started school.
I'm having a bit of a debate with my missus. I'd rather if I had my way, he'd go to school 3 or 4 days a week, and then the other days he'd be playing tennis or going on some adventures with me.
There is evidence, actually, that boys would do better if they didn't sort of teach them this way at 5 and 6.
Yeah.
Actually, there is evidence.
I don't know.
And I think kids are tested. A 6-7-year-old put under that pressure. I don't think that's
John
right.
Stuart Mill was fluent in ancient Greek and Latin by the age of 6. Just putting it out there. It is possible, it can be done. It doesn't necessarily damage
Well, so
you
was
for life.
I, but I don't show off about it.
That's why you don't know your...
Well, I wasn't, and I've got a PhD now. So
Come on, then, 7 times 7, Benedict. No one's answered.
49, isn't it?
Yeah, well done.
Okay.
Show off. So the demands will be handed to Bridget Phillipson, the Education Secretary, for her curriculum assessment review. Education experts are saying... we're not saying children shouldn't learn times tables. They're really helpful. But the need to have times tables, have the times table check is a bit of an unnecessary waste of time, apparently.
Well, you wait till your lad starts going to school and there's test after test after test after test. It will wear you down as a parent, and they're going to come home and be grumpy for the rest of the
I've already said, my next-door neighbour, who's about 13, he goes to school for a long day, 8 till 3, whatever the day is, and then he comes home and they make him do 3 or 4 hours of homework. Yeah. I couldn't believe it when my neighbour told me. 3 or 4 hours. I've said to my wife, my boys aren't doing that. They're not doing that.
And there are calculators nowadays on phones that everybody's got. Do we need it?
Yeah. Interesting. OK.